Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, this is Rich McDonald, and I play Commander David Mason on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And you're listening to Everything Geek podcast.
It's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Plo Koon in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Everything Geek, the podcast.
Hey, it's Leif Gamfert. I played Uncle Ben's killer in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldovar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek podcast.
You're listening to the Everything Geek podcast, bringing you interviews from your favorite films and TV shows every week, and all of the latest news. Here's your host, Rory Williamson.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host Rory, and joining me today is a very special guest. We have actor Sean Pertwee, who currently stars as Alfred Pennyworth in Gotham. His other notable roles include Sergeant Harry G. Wells in Dog Soldiers, Smith in Event Horizon, Father in Equilibrium, Barry Rankin in the Gull films, JC in Blue Juice, and the voice of Peter Chamberlaine in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Saker in Fable 3, Colonel Gregor Hakha in Killzone, and Colonel Radec in Killzone 2. How are you today, sir?
Well, when you put it like that, absolutely fantastic. I'm very good, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for having me.
You're very welcome. So getting right into my questions for you, Sean, for some of our listeners that may not be familiar with your background, can you tell us how you got into acting?
It's kind of slightly by default. You know, my father being an actor himself, I spent a lot of my life on set, and I was worked in the theatre with him as a call boy. He used to knock on the door and say 5 minutes, Miss Windsor, or whatever. So I spent a lot of my time, formative years and stuff, in the theatre. Although when you're the son of an actor or son of anyone really, of a butcher or anything, you balk at your parents' decision and trade, and I balked against being an actor and wanted to do it on my own. But slowly but surely, sort of inexorably got drawn towards it, and I found myself going to the Bristol Vic Theatre School, and I eventually went to the Royal Shakespeare Company, and found myself doing things that I never thought that I'd end up doing, which was being a sort of working in classical theatre. And then, because through my love of film, sort of forged friendships and bonds with people that still remain sort of friends to this day, and was led the sort of charge in the independent film world with Channel 4, with David Orkin, which you mentioned some of the films like ID and Blue Juice and things like that. So sort of progressed from there. And very, this part of my life, when my same age as my dad, really, when he was in his 50s, he got a sort of iconic role of Doctor Who, as did I with Alfred Pennyworth, who I think is one of the only Brits in the superhero canon. I can't think of anyone else. I don't know if you can. I'm sure you lot can.
Yeah, probably, but I'd have to think about it a lot. Certainly Alfred is the most iconic, we can say that for sure.
Absolutely, we agreed there.
Yeah. Speaking of Alfred, of course, one of my favourite relationships in Gotham is the relationship between Alfred and Bruce. Obviously in the previous season they got separated for quite a bit, and both the Shaman and Ra's al Ghul messed with Bruce's mind, which led to him stabbing Alfred. One of the heart-stopping moments for me of last season. I'll be honest with you there.
Me, I've got to say.
Yeah.
I tell you what, when I got those scripts, because they were written basically initially, they were going to broadcast it as a movie, as a two-parter. There was so there was going to be two separate parts as opposed to one final film, and we got issued script 21, and I didn't know if I died or not. There was a very, very nervous phone call to our showrunners, John Stevens, Danny Cannon, and Bruno Heller, saying, honestly, guys, you've gone a pale too far. You've gone too far this time. You're actually killing Alfred." And they said, "No. You don't. Wait till the next one comes out." And I didn't know. It was a very, very sort of terrifying couple of weeks while we waited for the next edition to get the next version to come out, the next script. So I was delighted for the Lazarus Pit. Is all I can say.
Yeah, me too. How would you describe Alfred and Bruce's relationship going into the next season?
There's a real culmination. There's a real coming together, and it's much more like the relationship people know and expect, really. I mean, we arched a few eyebrows, as well, not arched, people were quite horrified with our initial relationship, because we started at a time, a very dark period in Bruce's life, and people, I think, sort of realised that they were knocking heads. He never wanted to be necessarily a father figure. He never asked to be a father figure, and certainly Bruce didn't want him to be his father. So there's been a lot of knocking heads, a lot of falling outs. But the thing is, there's a real sort of culmination and coming back together again. I think there's about a 5 or 6 month jump from the last season to this season in Gotham time, and there's a definite sort of coming together of minds and characters and mutual appreciation. I think that's the most important thing. You know, dealing with a troubled teenager is a difficult task, but so you've got to let them fly, and he does, and the beginning, I don't think it's any secret for season 4 that people have seen, and you've seen that he starts to tread the vigilante path tenuously, but with this time the support of Alfred. But what comes together must fall apart to make it stronger, to come back together again. So that's a kind of hint to which directions we'll be going this season with our relationship. It's the one I'm looking forward to the most, because you're going to see Alfred at a place where no one has ever seen his character before. We've sort of hinted at it with the characters of Reggie in the first season, the guy that stabs him, that comes to visit, he served with in the SAS. And you suddenly realise how sort of cosseted and how Alfred retains himself to a certain degree. But you'll see him unravel. You'll see the side of the person that he really is and really was. And people will realise how dark a soul he truly was. And I'm really looking forward to this part. And it's in the middle of the season. It's about 11 to 15 that we go down this route. So you'll see a real side of Alfred that no one has ever seen before. So it's all I can say is it's an honour to play such a legendary and iconic character, but also to be able and to be sanctioned by Jeff Johns and DC to allow the audience and the myriad of fans out there to see an element of his life and history that's never been seen before. So I'm extremely excited about it.
Yeah, I'm getting really excited just listening to you talking about it and outlining it. Definitely sounds really exciting.
Great stuff. Yeah, it's going to be great. And David has grown. He's grown into a man, as my son has. My sort of great pentameter to have someone, Bruce. David, who I've known, as you know now, since he was a very young chap, and watched him grow. The same speed and height as my son, who weirdly enough is called Alfred. It's a great honour to be a sort of weird surrogate father, and we have a real special bond and closeness anyway. So it's a real sort of privilege to be there to go through him growing into becoming a man, and to be able to influence him, as does Alfred.
Definitely. Now, two of the biggest plot points being promoted heavily in the publicity for the new season are Scarecrow, and you already touched upon it, Bruce taking on the cape and fighting crime. The latter, of course, originally shown in the season 3 finale. What can you tell us about both of these ahead of the new season?
Well, I'm personally, Scarecrow always was one of my favourite characters. But again, Gotham is the premise for Gotham is about a city that molds ordinary people or ordinary people to becoming extraordinary people, and we revisit the Cranes, and I don't want to give too much away actually, but it's that element. It's the first story arc that is, I think, the first 3 or 4 episodes that you'll see. We revisit him. And it's actually quite terrifying. I don't want to give too much away, because it really is. I'm just pleased that we are revisiting one of my favourite characters, is what I'm trying to say. And also the thing is, it is no secret that he doesn't don a cape per se, and people are really perturbed by the fact that he's treading that vigilante path. But the boys start somewhere. But he is going down that path. But he is going with the support of and knowledge of Alfred, although he may not approve. But that doesn't say it goes throughout. There is a huge stumbling involved in this season, where you see people. That's what I love about our show: the fallibility and the fallibility of all of our characters, the propensity to either be good or bad. You see this character that you start to think that you know who he is, become this multifaceted, confused teenager, which he is. The wheels fall off to a degree, and I can't say why, but he starts to really question himself and question his own morality, and it leads to great friction in the show, and especially with yours truly. So yeah, it's not the be-all and end-all of the season. I think people are kind of confused by the fact that we're going so fast, we're hurtling towards the Batman. We are to a certain degree, but not. That's what I'm, what's all I'm able to say without being reprimanded.
That's completely understandable. Now, we touched on it a bit earlier. Alfred, of course, is such a popular and well-known character in the DC comics. Your portrayal is a fan favourite on Gotham, and one of my favourite characters personally too. Have you enjoyed getting...
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. Have you enjoyed getting to develop Alfred over the course of the show so far?
Oh man, what do you think? I mean, the fact to make the thing is that I don't know. I think our fans out there probably heard these stories so many times now, but it was a very strange audition process. The way how I got the job. I was doing a show with Johnny Miller called Elementary, and I got this extraordinary 2.5-page sort of diatribe about a guy going into a pub and breaking someone's larynx. But it was written, and it was brilliantly written. It was obviously written by someone from London, because its vernacular was absolutely on the button. And I did learned this speech because it was any good writing is always so easy to learn. And we were right in the middle of shooting Elementary, and I was promptly flown down to LA, and I saw Danny Cannon, and I saw Bruno sort of loping past, and I said, what are you guys doing here? And they said, well, we're seeing you. And I said, what for? And they said, well, for Gotham. And I went, oh, I've heard about it. We've heard in the ether that there's this kind of pre-Batman show, is that right? And they said, yeah. I said, but who the hell am I, pardon my language, who the hell am I supposed to be? Who's this guy? And they went, that's Alfred. So, I mean, I was flabbergasted, because then it sort of made real sense to me when I spoke to Bruno and the way that we did it. He said, because I wasn't sure who this character was. And what was interesting about being given the opportunity, and this is applicable to any of the characters that you speak to, any of the other characters that you interview, Robin, Corey, anyone, is that they saw elements of us that we don't know exist. So we were, in their mind's eye, that character. We didn't know. They just liked these elements. They cherry-picked things that we weren't aware of. That's why they never told us what it was that we were auditioning for, what characters it was, because it would have affected me. It would have affected me. I wouldn't have known to go to Michael Goff if I'd gone for this audition, or the Michael Caine or whatever. But they saw elements in us that then they enhanced. And we always say, that definitely say that we get there in the end, and we're by our showrunners, the skill of our showrunners, we're gently pointed in the right direction of our journey, and we don't know if we're following them or they're following us a lot of the time. But it's the genius of our showrunners and the writing that supports us, that gives us the confidence, the opportunity, in answer to your question, of playing an iconic character like Alfred, but at a time that no one really has ever really considered, I don't think, to a certain degree. No one's really considered his past, or the influence of being the enabler has been nothing but a privilege. And the thing was that my showrunners didn't realize that I was quite physical, I don't think. That they weren't sure if I was or not. So they put a little bit in, and the stunt guys could see that I could fight. And there was an episode I can't remember which one it was, in the first season. And then they could see that I could handle myself and look after myself, and they thought that that was a fascinating attribute to have. So we enhanced on the physicality of the character. So to be able to have done that, to be able to be seen as someone, as a protectorate, as a confidant, as a mother, as a father, as an uncle, as someone who taught you to fight, as your sensei, as whatever, all of these elements, which is really, if you think about what Batman is, you can describe Alfred Pennyworth as a sort of a Swiss Army knife in a way. But that's not what Batman is. He can do everything, but who taught him how to do everything? So that's the privilege in playing the character, and that was the honor of them letting me go there. Like, I'll tell them that I can throw knives or I can do nunchuckers or something like that, and they'll incorporate it. So it's a real privilege and an honor.
Yeah, it's a really great answer. Aside from what we've already talked about in regards to Scarecrow and Bruce, and obviously Alfred and Bruce's relationship, is there anything else you can mention that you think fans should look forward to in the next season?
You should look forward to the next season, big time. It's what I really like about it, and I think the fans are really going to appreciate. It's dropped a gear. It's returning to its almost dark, foreboding roots, and you'll see this very evidently in the first 3 or 4. You'll see again a restructuring of Gotham City and the power plays that exist within. You'll see the concentration of the characters that people know now and love and respect, which is, I have to say, with blowing our own trumpets here, is our interpretations of. People now understand where we're at, and we feel confident in our world. So that confidence exudes, and you'll see we've got a very dark Gotham on a very sharp downward spiral. You'll see a coming together of characters that you didn't expect to happen as well. You'll be introduced to new characters like Solomon Grundy or Cyrus Gold that I think fans already know. It's already out there. And again, strange partnerships start to form, as in life they do. And you've got all that to look forward to. And the rest I can't tell you because I haven't read all the scripts yet. They haven't been written.
Or they have been written and they just haven't been, shown or filmed yet.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, it won't be Gotham without the strange partnerships, I'm sure you can agree.
No, absolutely right. Absolutely.
So, my final question for you, Sean, aside from the upcoming season of Gotham, do you have any other upcoming acting roles or other projects you would like to talk about?
Unfortunately, the problem is we have such a short window in between shooting. We have a 2-month window. I wasn't able to do a film that I was attached to for 5 years, but champagne problems, right? No, I wish there was. There's been a few projects that I haven't been able to do, which is frustrating, but I love my job and I love the opportunity of working in the DC universe and working with my extraordinary company, who I love, so I can't complain.
Definitely. So that's all of the questions for you today. Sean, it's been a pleasure talking to you on the show.
Pleasure talking to you too. Thank you so much, and carry on watching.
Yeah, we will. Thank you for joining us again, and take care. Bye. The 4th season of Gotham will premiere on Thursday, September 21st with the episode Pax Penguina. Make sure to check out our podcast links, check out our website, website.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP, check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast, check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/official-everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our Mixcloud profile, www.mixcloud.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the following email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our companion podcast, Everything Geek Comiccast, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekcomiccast. Make sure to check out the hosts' YouTube channels. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/Sepidus Check out Sean Pertwee on Twitter, twitter.com/Sean Pertwee, and check out channel 1138 where we broadcast live from, www.channel1138.com. Geeks out, everyone.
I would say actually that there's a tie between two. I would say one of them hasn't aired yet, so I can't talk too much about it, but one of them has. One of them was in season 2, episode...
More different. I mean, Oswald is a very cynical, manipulative, scheming person who's constantly thinking about, plots against him, plots against other people. Then you have Ivy, who is